Northwest Red.
Sergio LaCour's Love Line.
It's Sergio's Love Lines with Sergio LaCour. Going to the phone lines. Hello.
Sea Monster Radio. Mo Jams. It's your jam.
We're live. Welcome to Mo Jam Mondays. This is KZ Music Media. Caller Goddess for Mo Jam Mondays.
Just my opinion. God is inspiration all day and all night. Saturdays on Rainier Avenue Radio App.
This is the news on Rainier Avenue Radio.
Former Michigan Governor Rick Snyder, his health director, and other ex-officials have been told they're being charged after a new investigation of the Flint water scandal, which devastated the majority black city with lead-contaminated water and was blamed for a deadly outbreak of Legionnaire's disease in 2014 to 2015, the Associated Press has learned. The Attorney General's office declined to comment on details of the ongoing investigation. Snyder, a Republican who has been out of office for 2 years, was governor when state-appointed managers in Flint switched the city's water to the Flint River in 2014 as a cost-saving step while a pipeline was being built to Lake Huron. The 2014 disaster made Flint a nationwide symbol of governmental mismanagement, with residents lining up for bottled water and parents fearing that their children had suffered permanent harm.
And that's your news on Rainier Avenue Radio.
Are you feeling the Seattle squeeze? The Seattle Department of Transportation has an app for that. Dot Maps will let you find where construction is taking place now and in the months ahead, and you can even set up email notifications. Find more info on SDOT's blog or access Dot Maps at streetwork.seattle.gov/map.
You know you can't get enough of Rainier Avenue Radio. .world.
It's just different.
Welcome to The Sentiment, a thought-provoking show with discussions that consist of life's experiences. We are bringing thoughts and perspectives out of captivity and isolation into spaces that promote awareness, healing, restores hope, and proclaims victory in everyday thinking and living. Come sip with me. Good evening. Good evening, you all. Welcome back to The Sentiment. It is your girl, Latrice Chenee. And I am here this evening on this inauguration day, filled with hope and inspiration and excitement for what is getting ready to take place for the woman, Kamala Harris, who is going to do some amazing things, I believe, with Joe Biden this year. And today to talk about the state of America, the past 4 years, just a little bit of whatever to talk his ish and share his wisdom and knowledge is Cousin O joining us this evening. Welcome.
How you doing?
How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing good, doing real good.
Good. Thank you for joining us this evening. Come to sit and sip with us and talk a little bit about this mess that Trump has made and the state of where we're going. And the beauty of what we're seeing today.
I got you. Back to the last 4 years, it is who, in the words of the great Denny Green, here's who we thought he was. Everything, the outrage was fine, but for Donald Trump, he is who we thought he was. We knew he was the opposite of Midas, and me, I'm old school, so I go back to the USFL. This is the dude that messed up my spring football, and when he sued the NFL for billions of dollars, he did win against the NFL, and he won $1. Look that up, and it's just Donald Trump has always been a hot mess. So everything that he did and what happened to our country and the direction that happened, it was who he thought. He was consistent. Everything Absolutely. He does turns to mud.
Well, before we jump too much into this, because we're going to go a little bit deeper, I want to let you know that you are listening to The Sentiment on Rainier Avenue Radio .world. Tune in. If you have any questions for Cousin O or for myself, you can reach us online at 206-290-9683. 888-848-9285. Please, if you have comments, go ahead and leave them, and we will be able to check them periodically. So, Cousin O, what you sipping on this evening?
My thing is, we'll see. We'll see.
What are you sipping on?
Oh, what am I sipping on? You know,
what you sipping on?
I'm only sipping for you because you know I'm not a big drinker, but you know I had to pull out the Jamaica Lion, and so the Jamaica Lion for 2021, and so you know it's probably been since probably June, probably the 1st of June. And then from there, probably then, you know, not too much, but, you know, I had to bring something back.
Just a little sip.
There we go.
Drinking dandelion root tea.
I can dig it. So, yeah, me thinking that we have to have like a real beverage. You know, I was going to do my sparkling ice or something like that.
You know what? So the concept, and I think everybody thinks that the concept of sit and sip with me is really you're sipping from your own tea. You're sipping from your own perspective, your own opinions, your own your own stories. And on top of that, what are you sipping? So then we're going to actually physically be sipping. It's just a sense of intimacy that I shared with my grandmother, Sadie. And she gave me this tea set. And so that's kind of
beautiful
where a lot of it kind of comes into play. So check this out. I have a lot for you. You're kind of already telling me about your perspective of the last 4 years and the leadership, and really explaining to us that Trump is exactly who he's always been. There's nothing new about what he's doing. It is what it is. He's been who he's been. Talk about a little bit about the damage that you believed he caused.
I think the biggest damage, as far as the Union, the United States itself, I'm not going to say. I think the only damage that he truly did was the way he handled the coronavirus. Well, I'm going to say two things.
Okay.
Two things. You know, two things that really damaged. I think with immigration issues. The way he just like, you know, something, if you're brown, if you're Muslim, I don't want you. And then the other thing he damaged with the way he handled the coronavirus. Everything else is America being America. And I know some people will say, well, you know, he did these things with, you know, he brought all these racists and, you know, he did these things. No, he just exposed them. He made them feel comfortable to come out. And for me, I'd rather know. I don't want to see anybody behind the sheets. I want to see somebody come out. Just, you know, once you come, I'm okay with that. Don't hide. You are who you are. And so with that point, I'm not going to say that he messed that up because he kept them hidden. He exposed them. Yeah, go out, feel comfortable and come out and whatever happens, happens. So now I know what I'm dealing with. So in that point, I'm not going to say he messed with the coronavirus, 400,000. That's enough said. And that's not to mention the unemployment, the people in the hospital, things of that nature. The way we're living, I haven't even seen my family that much for the last year, since early March of last year, most of them, because of what's going on with the virus in the comfortable. And so, you know, the way he's handled that and the way he handled immigration, everything else, the Black perspective and everything else is consistent with what America has done. So there was nothing from there for me personally.
Exactly.
Nothing to mess up.
Absolutely. The state that we are in with this pandemic is crazy. It's wild. It's unprecedented. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around it. We've lost, you know, family members, people, you know, and friends, and just seeing the losses that the people who are close to us, or even just the people on social media who are attached, are having is very, very heartbreaking. And I will be glad when we see this come to an end. How do you feel about the vaccine? Since we're on the topic, I know this was
vaccine. If it was just for Black people taking it, I'll be like, you know something, no, I'm gonna pass. But my thing is, if we're all gonna go to hell, let's go hand in hand. And so I think that just the stuff that for me, I'm older. If I was younger, I'd be like, I don't need no, I'm invincible. So now I'm at the age now, in the health wise, that I don't feel I'm invincible anymore. And so, I'm all for it. I can't wait to take the shot. And so and see what happens. Because at the point is we've put so many chemicals, even from stuff like this, the sweet stuff to make it smell, the diet stuff or the whatever to make it taste good, the corn syrup, and then if you have, most of us, especially in the Black community, we have high blood pressure, high cholesterol. Atenolol, what's that? Linzapril. Linzapril, has side effects, like people tongue swell, and there's so many other things. I guess I'm more or less trying to justify why I'm doing that, but I feel hopefully with the people that I've talked to and the people that as opinions I do trust at this point, for us to get back to normal, it's like this. You have a choice, right? I always call it the dog. You have the dog that's hunting you, or you have the one that might give you a shot, but it might get you anyway. I'm gonna go with this one. I'm gonna go with that one all day. Because I fear COVID. COVID's the most efficient killer that our country and our world has ever seen. It's what's good at one thing, and for the ones it doesn't kill, it's maiming them. Just remember, we lost more people than in Vietnam. We're getting to the point we're losing more people than we lost in the world wars. We're getting to the point we lost more people than we lost in the Civil War in the United States. It's such an effective killer. There's something we got to do something. So
absolutely. And and they're also saying with the people who have had COVID and who have came through and were fortunate enough to not have passed away, that they're not even certain what the long-term effects are going to be and what the possible effects of even the lifespan may have been shaved off several years. And so like, my goodness. So like, what is it really doing to our bodies are infected? And it's going to take years to uncover some of these things. They still aren't even aware of how long the vaccine will last and other things, and how the antibodies and everything's going to affect the body. So I am really curious to see how this all unfolds. There are many plans of a man, but the Lord's will prevail. So I can say everybody had all these plans and everything was canceled. So
man, and so back to the point. I also want to bring up also is that people. That's my opinion as far as me and the taking the vaccine. But for everyone that has a different opinion, I totally respect that, because at the point now, who do you really? We're going to have to. This is where we're going to have to put our trust in the government, and sometimes it doesn't always turn out so well. And then you have a person that just left office that said the election was rigged and had people trying to go to the Capitol to overthrow the government. And so he already, when you have the president of the United States saying that the election is rigged and not to trust the government, it's a problem. And so however you roll, I respect it and I understand.
Absolutely. And you brought me one of my questions. You triggered me to ask ahead of time, and it was in regards to the trust. And so one of my questions was, what will it take for the Biden-Harris administration, and what do you think it's going to take to restore the trust?
For me, I don't think it was no trust to restore. First of all, we don't. If you want. I think we're in a want, but a trust. Have you ever?
There's a lot of people that do not trust the Democratic Party as a whole.
No. You'd be somewhat naive to trust any politicians, because politicians, you get what you can out of them for either party. Whatever party works best for you and does the most for you, or as for your people as a collective, it is what it is. But as far as trust, never trust. You hope they do the right thing on certain aspects. You hope and pray, but trust, no chance. I would be foolish. I'll just say
absolutely. When I posted the picture this morning to honor the inauguration day, I just did #hopeful.
Yeah,
that's all. There's nothing else. Inspired by the first Black woman vice president. That's in itself is a whole different topic, and it's exciting, but just hopeful. And that was all I really had. I didn't really have anything else, you know.
Yeah. I mean, you're just like, oh please, because you know how I feel about Joe Biden. I'm not a fan. Joe Biden's terrible. Now, the thing about it was Joe Biden's bad. And, I always felt like Joe Biden, I won't go say he's a bum, but I always used to say Joe Biden is a bum. But the thing about it was nobody likes Joe Biden. But let me get back to the point. Donald Trump was so bad, people voted for somebody they didn't like. That's why Donald Trump was upset. Donald Trump was saying, more people like me. Yeah, Donald Trump, more people like you than they like Joe Biden. But more people hate you than they like you. That's why you love
right.
it. And with Joe Biden is like, I'm 94 drug bill, prison during that time period. That's when I was a young man. So that's in my wheelhouse. I see what it did to our community that we live in. I see how it decimated. I see weed and seed, how they took people's homes. They locked people up. They put people on bail, gave people felonies. Invested so much in the police department and judges and everything. They could do everything. They put us down, but they made the powers that be wealthy. To me, it was almost reverse. This was almost, I call it white reparations. This was the second white reparations was the crime bill. It was giving them extra money for Jim Crow. Let me explain real fast. I'll do this really fast.
No, you have time. Go ahead.
Okay. So it goes back to the police. When you hire police departments, who was getting hired? Mostly what? Mostly white people.
Right.
When you built these prisons, who were you mostly employing? White people. When you had these judges and lawyers and everything in between, who were you mostly employing? White people. You have these communities out in Monroe and all these prison communities around the country, because remember, between now and 1994, we increased our prison population 700%. And then that's how you have the industrial prison complex and locked us. And then let's say you're in prison. How do you got to call? You kept the long distance companies in business because you got to call collect. You can't just make a phone call. When you have to send somebody money and put money on their books, who do you have to go through? Western Union. Western Union should have been out of business years ago. But we still to put money on somebody's books in prison in different parts of the country, because we got people in prison. You got to pay what, $6.95? It might be
more
$6.95
than to reform and for restorative justice. So, and we know that, right?
So there you go. And Joe Biden along with Bill Clinton and the Democrats and Republicans. The Democrats were trying to, they were trying to show, it had been years since any Democratic president had gotten a second term. They were trying to show Bill Clinton was tough on crime, and who did he have to punish? All them black boys, them black people you see on TV and everything like that. And, it's going back to the Reagan administration. That's beyond some other stuff. But going back to the Joe Biden, he was vicious. And he said, even when they passed the crime bill, he said it wasn't hard enough. And so that means, maybe Joe Biden's had a change of heart. Maybe he's changed as he's aged. But, from him, I would have felt better. I'm not in the symbolism, but this time I would have felt better saying, something, I'm sorry. I'm not the one, I'm sorry. I know it was a mistake we did during debate. I would say, something, I'm sincerely sorry. But the thing he said, I'm sorry. And he said, the black pastors, they supported it.
We know what that is.
Yeah, I just want a little more. So, we'll see.
Absolutely. Oh, you mentioned I'd be remiss. I can't have this conversation with you and not bring up what they call the Black Lives Matter movement, because for us it's a lifestyle and it's been this way. Right. Tell me about how you handled it, some of your thoughts around it, and we'll go from there.
For me, it's really it's dicey because I'm Black Lives Matter, but not really Black Lives Matter. But I'm Black Lives Matter. I'm always Black Lives Matter. Right. And so, I mean, once you get I'm more or less the politics out of it. Of course, for the Black people, the Black Lives Matter. Of course, Black Lives Matter. And it's short for Black Lives Matter. It's short for Black Lives Matter too, because when little girls like John Benet Ramsey, we remember these. All these little other kids, Amber from the Amber Alert, and all these other things. We remember them, and so it was our lives matter too. And so with the Black Lives Matter, but I do with the younger people. They we always get on the millennials or whatever you call them, but man, they didn't put up with the stuff we put up with, or especially my generation. They ain't putting up with that. They're gonna hit them streets, and they're gonna shut stuff down. And so for that point, they try to link other stuff, like the other people that go around burning post office boxes and different people's black. Those ain't Black lives. Those some dudes that you could have been protesting salmon, and they be down there burning some stuff up too. But the real concrete part.
Opportunists, right?
Right, the opportunists. And I know some of it is, some of it, especially with Black men, they do have a problem with the Black Lives Matter because they talk about the nuclear family and try to exclude Black men. These are the things that I've said. And so, they were talking about the nuclear family, and, I don't know what the nuclear, and I know the nuclear family, mother, father, and so, people trying to get bent out of shape about, the mother, father thing of the 50s, and Black folks, we weren't doing the nuclear family. We didn't make enough money. We all had to work. So as far as that, I get it. And some people have beef about it, but it's the Black Lives Matter. No organization is going to be perfect or agree with me, because I'm the person that argues with myself. So as long as their number one goal is to stop the killing of Black men and Black women and Black children and Black people by police officers, I'm all for it. We're good. We ain't got a problem. Everything else we can work out.
Have you ever had any run-ins with police where you for your life? Tell us a story.
Oh my God. Something. There's so we've got to remember. Well, I'm still back during the from 17 from it's the war on crack. And so even in the city of Seattle and in my lifetime, and I'm not talking about the point I was really speeding. I'm not talking about the point I deserved to get a ticket, or I was driving like a jackass or ran a red light or different. I'm just, I'd say probably roughly about 50. I've been pulled over by police in my life roughly about 50 times. I haven't got put over that much in the recent years because I'd be at home and I'm old. But especially when one summer, my biggest summer was the summer of 1991. I got pulled over 20 times by Seattle.
What?
It got to the point where I'd be driving, they pull up next to me, I look at them, they look at me, man, I just pull over. And they used to come there and say, I know you got a license. I know you got a license. And sometimes they'd have you there for an hour. And you got to understand, for the younger people or people out there during that time, you kind of could tell I was a square. So, I'm wearing the plaid or some polka dots, dressed like Kwame or something, mess with my flat top and all that other stuff. So I wasn't looking like Boys in the Hood or Colors or nothing like that. But at that point, it didn't matter because that's all they saw was my face. And so, I'll tell you just one quick story. My aunt, or I was by Roosevelt High School. My mom worked at Roosevelt years ago, and I saw my grandma and my aunt driving. Those were the early days, and I saw them. They said, "Hey, I put them. Where you going? We're going to pick up your mom from Roosevelt." I said, "Okay." And so they pulled to the right. I followed behind them. I park. They park. Bicycle police roll up on me. And they roll up on me and say, "Hey, you're speeding. Give me your license." And I'm like, "What do you mean I'm speeding? I was following," pointing at my grandma. I was kind of snitching. But I point my grandma and my aunt, talking about, I'm following behind them. What are you talking about? And then, they start giving this talking. Cops can get real disrespectful. And people always say, respect the cops talk. At that point, for about 5 minutes, or that's a lie. For about 2 minutes, I was calm, maybe a minute. Then I'm like, "What are you talking about?" then they try to do that double talk. You were doing this, you were doing that. Give me your insurance. You don't talk back. And so then my aunt got out the car, and she said, "What are you doing? Why are you harassing him? Leave him alone." And my aunt was pregnant at the time, and so then it started getting heated. You said, "You guys are harassing black men." Got escalated, and then they started threatening to take my aunt to jail for obstruction of justice. And everybody's getting heated. The kids are coming down from school, and then finally my mom comes down there and says, "Hey, what's going on?" My grandma gets out the car, looks at the cop, and this is where my grandma probably was about 70-something years old at the time, and she gets out the cop. She looked at the cop and looked at me. She said, "You're a man." Looked at me, and he's a man. You show each other respect. She called me Marty. So she told me, "You, Marty, go get in your car and leave." And the cops was looking, and I looked, the cops looked, and I just left and got my car. I was upset, and I got my car and left.
Well, come on, Grandma.
And come on, Grandma. Grandma regulated that. But that was more, I'll call that more of the tame. I'll call that more of the tame ones. And so it's just that with police, especially during that time, and, have they gotten better? And they got a long way to go. And so, but with the police, and I've never been arrested. Even if that's an excuse, and the only reason I haven't been arrested from the times I got pulled over was, it was an act of God. Because after you get pulled over, is no off. First 5 times, yes, officer, yes, sir, no, sir. 5 times, 10, 15, what are you doing? 20, 30, 40. Why are you even pulling me over? What did I do? Why don't you leave me alone? Hey, settle down. And so,
right.
And so it's just it's a lot. So yeah, the police issue is, and that's the stuff. And then, if I get arrested, they'll have me obstruction of justice. And then during that time, if my bail, I ain't got no money. If my bail's $1,000, I'm gonna sit in jail.
Right.
Or I'm gonna have to call and say, hey, or if I get too out of line, or if they grab me and I do like this, that's an assault charge. So now I'm charged with assault, and now it's $5,000. They'll probably charge me initially. They'll write up the report, the felony assault, and so at that point, I'm sitting in jail for 20 or 30 days.
Right.
And so at that point, you do what you want to do. I'm not making no money. I ain't making my car payment. I'm not going to school. It's messing with my life. You're putting a financial strain on my mom or my dad, my family. They got them stressed out. So you do what you got to do to get out of jail. And so this is where. That's where that game. It's a cold game. They put you in that circle.
Quick.
They put you in that circle.
Tell me. Actually, you know what? We're gonna have to hold on that one. Unfortunately, I always say this to my guests because I have so much more I want to ask you and talk to you about, and my show is 30 minutes, and so the time goes by really quickly. I might get you on an IG Live. I want to talk about perspectives from Black fathers who have Black sons. And then, kind of what you would share with them, etc. I am rocking a shirt by Debonair Decor, y'all. See it, but it has Ruth Ginsburg on it. And it is a tribute to just amazing Black women with Kamala Harris and what she's doing. And I want to end the show today with a video from Tia Nashe, who has a poem on To America.
You want to climb a wall, storm the Capitol today? Throw a tantrum in broad daylight. Don't worry about a thing, you're white. They'll call it a protest at best. You're just exercising your rights. Vandalize a building, threaten other safety, and make it home for dinner tonight. Oh yes, the guardrails, we can move those for the mob. Protecting and serving white people, well, that's our job. You're not a terrorist. You don't even have on a hijab. Remember, there's good people on both sides. Trump lost by 7 million votes, but the Electoral College lied. Embolden the white supremacists, make the Proud Boys more proud. Tell them to walk the streets of the Capitol real loud. Who will undo the historical damage done to the democracy, the mockery that this man has led, the poison he has fed? You and I both know that there's two Americas that exist. Black America's history, maybe we shouldn't be. We watch so vividly the truth we've always known to be, that the unmasked, unasked past that comes with being white. You're safe, even when you're wrong. My guy lost his whole job kneeling for a song. You vandalized, we mobilized, George on our mind. Flip the A to blue for the second time. I'm pretty sure a Black woman did that. Black women can do anything. Facts.
It's just different.
Facts. you for listening to The Sentiment. Please join me next time with the next topic and the next guest that graces us with their presence. In the meantime, be blessed and be gracious and kind to yourself and others. Mwah, mwah.